Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is OJ, and today it's that time of the year where my hater energy is at its peak because all day I just scroll through Instagram watching couples post like cute photos or quick reels about how they love their significant other. Fuck that shit. But this year, it's gonna be different because normally I would just be ranting about Valentine's Day and how awful it is. Instead, I'm going to be making a tier list of UFC fighters on the current roster that I would potentially ask to be my Valentine. So, in a few seconds, I'll have a set of tiers on the screen of some of the more notable female fighters on the roster. So, without wasting any more time, let's jump right into the video. Right off the bat, we have Alexa Grasso. I am immediately asking her to be my Valentine. For one, she's really pretty, which is not something I can say for most of the notable fighters in the women's division. Second, she's not an overt slut like most of the girls who are actually hot. Grasso's highlights aren't just her shaking her ass, and she's actually somewhat of a capable fighter. She's pretty good, especially at jiu-jitsu off bottom. If she catches me in a triangle, just know I will be dying a happy man. Those thick thighs can end lives, including mine. So unless we have another former champion who is as hot as Alexo Grasso is in the near future, he will be getting a card with a box of chocolates from me every single year. Moving on, we have Victoria Dudakova. I'm going to put her in the one night stand tier. Dudakova is hot, but she's very psychotic. And normally I would think that would be very attractive, but I get the feeling that she's very abusive in public, which I'm not gonna take that. Like she slapped one of her coaches who happens to be her husband after she lost a fight to Fatima Klein. Like, I get that you lost a fight, and I get that your boyfriend or husband couldn't do anything at the moment, but you lost the fight. I don't know what your husband was supposed to do, considering it's a sanctioned fight where two people are supposed to beat the fuck out of each other. But the difference between her and like someone much lower on the tiers is that she's very hot. Like, you can't deny that. I thought she was gonna be like some sort of prospect because the UFC does a very good job of like giving like hot female prospects like absolute cans. Unfortunately, Dudakova lost to Sam Alvey somehow in 2024 and then lost to Fatima Klein again in 2025. It's kind of tough at that point to see Dudakova that much longer on the roster, but again, for a one night stand, it would be perfect between me and Dudakova. I just don't think it's going to last anywhere longer than a week. Moving on, Tatiana Suarez. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm only here to watch her fight. And listen, I am happy for Patchy Mix because he found someone to share the rest of his life with. But if you told me that Tatiana Suarez was secretly a man, I would not be surprised. You can look at all the photos of Tatiana Suarez at UFC 312. Like some of the camera angles on her, uh, showed a very, I guess, chiseled chin. Like her jawline is shockingly sharp and defined for a woman. It's like looking at Drew Dober sometimes, in my opinion. And while I do like a good muscle mommy who can be assertive, Suarez holding me up against the fence, it's more scary than arousing. Once she shoots a double leg and gets my hips off the wall, I'm going to be scared for my life if she chooses to slam me down and proceeds to potentially give me the redo of the healer treatment. Good for Patchy Mix, but I don't think Tatiana Suarez would be my Valentine. Moving on to Ariana Lipski. Ariana Lipski, will you be my Valentine? Now, is she a good fighter? Not really. Like, she lost to Korean Silva, who I do not rate all that highly, but that doesn't mean that she isn't gorgeous. She doesn't even need to shake her ass or anything to get my attention. She's just very attractive for a WMMA fighter. And she's not crazy. And and it makes me root for her sometimes. It gets to the point where wherever I see her get absolutely butchered by a capable fighter, there's like a pain in my heart because like I don't want to see her get absolutely slaughtered like that. Whether or not she will be still in the rankings by the end of 2025, it needs to be seen. But regardless of her fights, she is still a queen in my eyes. Moving on to Yasmin Lucindo. I'm pretty sure she's a lesbian or maybe a 16-year-old boy. And it's not just because of her appearance, but it's also in the way she fights. She actually throws punches that can hurt people. She's really fast and she has pretty good footwork. Like these are primary indicators when it comes to asking the $1 million question for a WMMA prospect. Would I be surprised if she turned out to be a man? I'm not saying that Lucindo is a man, but based off the way she fights and her appearance, I would not be shocked whatsoever if she came out to be a trans woman. So enough to said, I'm not gonna explain any further other than, yeah, not ideal for me. Up next, we have Luana Santos, and I'm gonna put her in the potential girlfriend tier. Like Alexa Grasso, she's hot. She's got wicked jujitsu. If I get caught in any triangle off bottom, I'm going out like a warrior. The only thing I don't like about Luana Santos is the fact that she has an OnlyFans account. Now, understandably so. Like, if I were born a woman as hot as Luana Santos, I too would be an OnlyFans whore. But knowing that she is an OnlyFans whore makes me overall a little bit more hesitant to asking Luana Santos out. But she's got a fat ass along with a pretty face, and she looks very fun to hang out with. And if she were to ask me to be my Valentine, I'm not going to say no whatsoever. Moving on to Kayla Harrison, I would say she is in a similar position to Tatiana Suarez, but multiply that by five. She's blasted so much gear throughout her career that her biceps are probably bigger than my skull. And again, I love a muscle mommy, but not that big. Second, I've never seen a WMMA fighter be able to absolutely ragdoll people on the ground quite like Kayla Harrison. It's like watching a man, or as Jorge Masvidal will call her, a fucking gorilla. She looks like someone who can genuinely tear my face off, and there's nothing I can do about it, hypothetically. And if you told me she was a man, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, don't get it twisted. She is fun to watch for a lot of different reasons, but she's only one of the few WMMA fighters I watch because she's actually good at fighting. While she is good at fighting, it's not for me when it comes to a Valentine's Day uh date. Therefore, I can only rate her so highly. Up next, we have Norma Jumont. Norma Jumont can be in the potential girlfriend tier. She's hot, she's got a fat ass, and I'm sure she's got good jujitsu. Those are the only three things I need in my life, really. She's also very capable as a fighter, which is an added bonus. And I'm not saying this only because she's hot, but I genuinely believe she could be the potential answer to Kayla Harrison because Norma Jumont is a far superior kickboxer than Kayla Harrison, and Jumont's grappling is pretty decent. Once Harrison gets rid of Juliana Pena, I think Jumont is the only contender that legitimately has a chance against Kayla Harrison. I hope Norma Dumont wins because although both of them are really good, Norma Dumont is hot and not blasting all those steroids. If she beats Kayla Harrison, for sure she's going to be my Valentine. But who knows? The UFC doesn't do a very good job of like promoting a lot of fighters on the come up like Norma Dumont. Therefore, I don't really know that much about her other than the fact that she's fucking hot and pretty good at MMA. Up next, we have the current best women's fighter on the roster right now, Young Wei Li. Now, Wei Li is also one of the few fighters in the women's divisions where I watch her only for her fights. When I look at some of her photos outside of the cage, she isn't ugly by any means, but she is just not for me, in my opinion. She would be very cool to hang out with as a friend, but I don't see anything materializing for Valentine's Day. So, as good as a fighter she is, I am going to put her in the only here for the fights tier. And last but not least, we have the current face of women's MMA, Tracy Cortez. Now, a lot of you guys will be pretty mad for this, but I'm going to put her only at the potential girlfriend tier. Pretty face, thick thighs that can end lives. Like, there's a reason why she's one of the most prominent stars in women's MMA. I get all of that, but she is kind of a whore. Let's just put it like that. Does she have an OnlyFans? Not really, but you gotta ask yourself about Tracy Cortez. Like, what is she in the UFC for? Because every time the UFC promotes Tracy Cortez, it's just about her ass and her face. Or the fact that she actually wore eyeliners into a fight, which is crazy considering she actually wants to look pretty in a fucking fight. Like, I think those are very oxymoronic. It's a very oxymoronic statement. Overall, I wouldn't say she's my first choice, but she is hot. And hypothetically, if she were to ask me to be her Valentine, I'm not even gonna think for a second to say no. All right, that's where I'm gonna end it for today. In all seriousness, even though Valentine's Day might have sucked for most of us, including myself, I really hope for each and every one of you guys, if you don't have a Valentine's Day date to share this day with, I hope you find one in the near future. And that goes for me too. Other than that, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.